Yo, what is going on everyone, and welcome back to another video on my channel. And in today's video will be my round A AFL tips of the 2023 season. So let's get straight into it. Like we do every week, we'll review what I got last week. St Kilda versus Port. I literally had my iPad open, was gonna change the tip to Port Adelaide as I just thought Port Adelaide are gonna win this game. But I didn't because I was too lazy and St Kilda won, so that's completely on me. Brisbane got that right. Sydney, oh, that was a throw to Toby Green, but apart from that, I got that wrong. Bulldogs got that right, Melbourne got that right, North were pretty disappointing. Carlton got that right. I didn't know they were going to win by that much, but they played really good and West Coast didn't show up. Essendon was a bit stupid from me. I should have just tipped Geelong. I tipped the wrong upset here and that was not a good tip. Richmond, again, it's like I knew Gold Coast would win, but I just didn't have the balls to tip them. I thought surely Richmond win this at home or at Marvel Stadium or whatever, but they don't. And Collingwood got that right. I guess that's a good tip by me. Anyway, let's move on to the round 8 tips. Alright, first game at Marvel Stadium is between Carlton and Brisbane. This is a very interesting game. Brisbane in good form, winning some good games against North Melbourne, Fremantle, Collingwood. And Carlton in some good form after their massive win over West Coast, 100+ point win. They're going to take lots of confidence out of that. And Kerner kicked 9, which was very, very impressive. Because it's at Marvel, I am going to tip Carlton. I reckon Brisbane don't play too well at all at Marvel. They played horrible against the Bulldogs. And they're not really a good away team, Brisbane, especially down here in Melbourne. So I reckon Carlton will win this game by 19 points. And then moving on to the MCG between Richmond and West Coast. Inside of me, I sort of reckon West Coast will win, but let's just be honest. That would be a pretty major upset, even though Richmond are in terrible form. Richmond, they really need to win this game to keep their season alive. They're on 5 losses already. If they lose this game, it's just about season over for Richmond. So I reckon they'll win this game convincingly by 49 points. And then moving on to GMHBA Stadium, this is actually an interesting game between the Geelong Cats and Adelaide Crows. Adelaide, they're going to be very gutted with that loss against Collingwood, especially when they missed so many opportunities, kept Collingwood in it, and Collingwood, of course, they took advantage of that and ended up winning. Geelong, on the other hand, were very impressive against Essendon. Their ability to score, and they're just such a skillful team. I don't think we actually talk about that much, but Geelong's skills are through the roof. They barely ever miss a target. Their foot skills and hand skills are just terrific, and that's probably why they won the flag last year. And I reckon Adelaide will be a bit gutted over last week's disappointing loss. I reckon Geelong will win this game by 39 points. This is where things get interesting. Gold Coast versus Melbourne. Gold Coast coming off a good win against Richmond. It was a very impressive win. They played really well and got the chockies. And Melbourne, of course, very impressive over North Melbourne. They demolished them as they should, and they really showed them who's boss. You would have to have balls here to tip Gold Coast. I reckon I have to back in Melbourne just because I reckon they are the better team here. And I reckon they'll win this game by 23 points and Gold Coast will put up a very good fight. And then moving on to Canberra between the GWS Giants and the Western Bulldogs. Giants, of course, coming off a very impressive comeback win over the Sydney Swans. Sydney were probably the better team for most of that match, but Toby Green's late snap controversy, as that was a clear throw in my opinion. But anyway, they got the win, whatever, we move on. And the Bulldogs, of course, played pretty well against Hawthorn. Hawthorn did challenge them in the first half, but Bulldogs just ran away with it in the Bonds 200th. Look, I reckon Giants could challenge here, but I reckon I just can't go past the Bulldogs. I reckon they are a very good side this year and will win this game in a very close one by 10 points. And then moving on to Optus Stadium between Fremantle and Hawthorn. Who would have thought this game would be tough to tip? It's not as easy as what it looks. As Fremantle are in horrible form, they just can't move the ball to save their lives and they're not looking good at all at the moment. And Hawthorn, they've been competitive in every match, I'll give them that as credit. At the start of the season, they kept getting smashed, and then after that, they put in some good performances. Probably should have run 2 games against the Giants and Adelaide, but they sort of threw both of those games as they had a lead, and then they blew it. But their young team, of course, you know what, I'm going to go for an upset here. I reckon Hawthorn will win this game by 10 points. And they'll play terrific and cause a massive upset in the West. And then Port Adelaide versus Essendon at Adelaide Oval. Oh, another tough game to tip. This isn't easy at all. Port Adelaide coming off a very, very impressive win over St Kilda. They played really well and turned the game into a scrap and really just took away St Kilda's game style. I thought that was really impressive from them. They really did just shut them down completely and play their way and win the game on their terms. Essendon, on the other hand, were actually alright against Geelong, to be fair. They scored over 100 points and they looked promising at times, but Geelong are just a fantastic team. I hope this doesn't come back and bite me. It probably will, but I'm going to say Essendon win this game by 6 points in an absolute thriller. And then Collingwood versus Sydney at the MCG. I'll most likely be attending this game, of course. This is a typical game that the Bloods will win. This is the game where no one tips them. Everyone has written them off, and this is the type of game that will come out and win. I'm scared we're going to get to a 20+ point lead, just like we did against Port Adelaide and the Giants, but then throw it. And we're first in Collingwood, so we're most likely going to throw a lead here. I am very nervous about this match. However, I do have a bit of confidence in the boys that we can get this one done. I reckon Sydney's going to win this game by 3 points. And yeah, this could come back to bite me, but screw it. I'm going to say the Swans win this game by 3 points. And then final game of round 8. North Melbourne versus St Kilda at Marvel Stadium. This is probably one of the easy games to tip, especially because North Melbourne in their recent matches haven't been competitive at all. They were very good at the start of the year, like I said in the last video. However, recently they haven't been competitive at all, and they've been quite disappointing, to be honest. And St Kilda, on the other hand, have been pretty impressive until last week, and that was probably their most disappointing match of the year, as they just looked a bit flat and just didn't look as good in the contest, and just looked a bit slow and a bit tired. But yeah, I reckon they'll bounce back and win this game by 50 points. And there you go, guys. Those are my round 8 tips of the 2023 season. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a big fat thumbs up and subscribe, and comment down below your predictions, as I'd love to see them. But anyway, until next time, goodbye.